Welcome to the WP-Tonic This Week in WordPress and SaaS podcast, where Jonathan Denwood interviews the leading experts in WordPress, e-learning, and online marketing to help WordPress professionals launch their own SaaS.
Welcome back, folks, to the WP-Tonic This Week in WordPress and SaaS. It's episode 734. I've got a great guest. I've got Nick Ahmann, founder and CEO of Inisev, and it's a independent WordPress plugin shop, which Nick has founded. They do a number of really popular plugins, and we're going to be discussing his journey in building this business, things he's learned. If you're looking to develop a plugin in the WordPress ecosystem, I'm sure you're going to find this interview really interesting. Before we go into the main meat and potatoes, we're going to go for a short break. Messages from our major sponsors. We'll be back in a few moments, folks.
Are you looking for ways to make your content more engaging? Sensei LMS by Automatic is the original WordPress solution for creating and selling online courses. Sensei's new interactive blocks can be added to any WordPress page or post. For example, interactive videos let you pause videos and display quizzes, lead generation forms, surveys, and more. For a 20% off discount for the tribe, just use the code WPTonic, all one word, when checking out and give Sensei a try today.
The importance of backing up your WordPress website cannot be emphasized enough. We use BlogVault to help us do this on a daily basis. With free staging, migrations, and on the Pro plans, malware scanning and autofix, BlogVault is the professional's choice when managing just one website or many. Go to blogvault.com and see for yourself. You seriously won't find a better, more complete solution. That's blogvault.com, blogvault.com.
We're coming back. I just wanted to point out that we got some great special offers from sponsors and other plugin producers, services, anything that you might be looking for around WordPress. To get all these goodies, all you have to do is go over to WP-Tonic/recommendations, and the special offers and deals are all on that page. And you can sign up for the WP-Tonic weekly newsletter, which I do. So, Nick, would you like to quickly introduce yourself to the WP-Tonic tribe, your background, and how did you get into the semi-crazy world of WordPress, Nick? You look too sensible to me.
That's right, yes. Actually, my background is not in WordPress or IT at all. I spent over 10 years in financial services, especially in banking. I worked mainly in Germany, Switzerland, and the UK for various banks, mostly in a project-based role, so one project after another. Mm-hmm. And it was a great time. I really enjoyed it. But the point with the project business is that even though you learn a lot, by the way, I think that's a recommendation I give to almost everybody who's just starting out working. It's project-based business is great to get started because you have to switch projects, every 3 or 6 months, and you have to think into new subject matter very quickly. You get trained to do that. So
you say projects. What kind of project was there? Was there IT coding, or was it?
It was nothing. No, nothing to do. It was basically mostly on the marketing and distribution side.
Oh, right.
So the first 4 years, I worked for a small consultancy in Frankfurt, in Germany. And there we advise banks and insurance companies and so on how to open up new distribution channels, how to optimize the marketing and all of that. And when I then switched sides to the bank in Switzerland. I basically did the same, but in-house. And there we also did various projects basically to increase business and revenues.
Oh, so what led to WordPress and doing your first plugin?
So basically it was a great experience to do the project-based business in a bank. But at some point I felt it wasn't I wasn't building up something. So you spend 3 to 6 months on a project, and then you move on to the next one and the next one, and kind of basically you don't care much what happens to the project you did before. And that was always an aspect where I thought, okay, now I want to build up something, right? Put one stone after another, and then have my little shop, so to speak. And that's basically, yeah.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt, but so was this an attempt to build a bit of a side hustle, a secondary income,
right.
A secondary possibility?
No, it was never from the incomes. I knew, okay, in order to build up a business, it takes all your time and dedication. So doing something in parallel is a challenge. So I decided basically to stop working in a bank and then just dive into it and just do it from scratch. Yeah.
Wow, that's a big commitment financially. And so, wasn't you a little bit concerned? You don't mind. I don't want to be too personal. Did you?
No, you can. I mean, you can ask anything. I don't have to answer it, right?
No, that's true. So, did you have a reasonable runway of financial resources? Did you have a 6-month, 12-month runway for you to?
Yes, actually, it was much longer than that. I mean, it was kind of a change, I have to say. So I built up, a bit of from the salary, some money I could use for the project, but I also changed my lifestyle again. So when I had a nice salary for the bank, I, was living in a very, very nice apartment and didn't, too much care about what I spent the money on and how much it was. Yeah. And that changed a lot. I mean, then I, moved back into a shared apartment, which many people in the position I was in would not have done. They would have considered it as a step back, which, I mean, financially and in terms of direct responsibility at the beginning, it was a step back, but I never saw it that way. I always wanted to see it long term, and I wanted just to build up my own shop.
Well, I really admire your commitment and focus. It's obviously you didn't have you don't want me asking, you don't have a family in that at the present moment. Then is that
no?
correct?
Sometimes I say no. I have kids, and they are called Follow It and Ultimately Social and Backup List. Those are the names of our products, right? So it's a sad answer, but that's what it is.
I totally understand, actually. So before we go into the next question, I just want, obviously, I want to promote what plugins, because that's the main reason why you come on the show. And also, you strike me as somebody very open, and I thought we could provide some real value. You do have an extensive range of plugins, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about each individual, but let's just quickly go through them. You put it on top of your list when you sent me some notes about what you wanted to discuss in this interview, and it's Taste WP. So quickly, what does Taste WP do?
Okay, Taste WP is just a website where you can spin up a new WordPress instance with one click. You don't even have to be logged in. You just click on spin it up, and then you have your little WordPress instance, which expires in 2 days, or if you logged in already, in 7 days.
Oh, that's really useful.
Right, you can use it just, to play around, to try out plugins you don't want to try out on your live site, or themes as well, of course. Teachers love it, and of course beginners, just to, get to know WordPress, and therefore also the teachers, they use it for their pupils.
Yeah, I would have thought also a lot of developer types, implementers, when you're trying out different plugins, you don't want to bother having to set up a staging site, but you also don't want to install something new on a production site and fill your database with junk. So just spinning your thing up and trying it, I would have thought a lot. So on to the next one, backup and migration. What does that do?
That's a backup and migration plugin, which basically, very simple, easy to use. You install it, you click on create backup, and then it creates the backup. And you install it on another site from another host, for example, and then you can migrate a site very easily. And we started with...
Yeah, you don't want me. Is it crippled? A lot of these backup plugins, unless you pay the pro, a lot of them are basically kind of semi-crippled.
Right. It's not, I wouldn't call it, no, yes. So it's not crippled. There is a limit in the free version, which is the 2 gigabyte maximum in terms of the backup you can take. But the point is also, I'm not sure how to think about it, because now I'm thinking about maybe we should have made it more crippled, because not many users upgrade. They're just happy with the free version.
Well, that's something we're going to discuss in the rest of the interview. So copy and delete and post. What does that do?
Yeah, that just allows you to quickly copy a page or post, and has, of course, tons of features. You can define what exactly you want to have copied of that post or page. And but basically, that's at the core. That's what it does.
Right. Redirection plugin. That's self-descriptive. So let's go on to the next one. My pop-up and ups. What does that do?
Right. My pop-ups is just a pop-up service. Actually, there the main part of the codes is on a different site, but the plugin is plugged into that. So we have like a separate page, mypopups.com, where you can design and style your pop-up as you want it for various purposes, from collecting emails to showing discount codes to showing cookie notices, for example. And then the plugin is just making it easier to integrate it on your WordPress site.
And finally, ultimate social media icons.
Right. The ultimate, yes. That's actually the plugin with which everything started, which is a plugin where you can place social media icons on your site. So you want to have your Facebook and Twitter icons on your site. Then this plugin allows to do that in a very easy way. And of course, it has tons of other features. Right.
So let's go on. That's given a brief outline, because you've got about almost half a dozen really interesting plugins here. So what have been some of the most significant challenges? Because you're a brave individual. Obviously, you're prepared to take a certain element of risk.
Yes, we can talk about it right away. I mean, the financials was always a big challenge. So we're bootstrapped.
So what has been some of the biggest 1 or 2 challenges you faced getting this going in the right direction, Nick?
So the financial side was certainly one. I mean, if you're bootstrapped and you have to look at every penny you spend, that is a challenge. But to be honest, I really come to enjoy it, because if you're bootstrapped, first of all, it's a nice challenge, to try to get as far as you can with your existing budget. And it sharpens your mind a lot, because there's the saying that when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And if you have a lot of money, then I'm sure we would have spent it on various marketing methods. And but as they say, marketing is tax for a bad product. So we would have probably just in order to get users, we would have spent a lot of money on marketing and trying to fix it that way. But that would have been all in vain, because if you're bootstrapping and it doesn't work, then you're basically forced to think about, okay, maybe the product doesn't have market fit yet, and you need to improve the product. And if the people don't buy it or use it, then that's feedback. You need to make your product better. But if we had money, then I'm sure we would have spent a lot of money for nothing. So that's another aspect I very much like about the bootstrapping part of it. And of course, the fact that you kind of feel more independent than if you had taken on external capital. Because even if you're lucky and have an very free investor who gives you free hand and says, okay, you don't need to pay back for in the near future, there's still always the pressure you feel that you have to return the money as quick as possible. Not only the investment, but much more than that.
Well, you strike me as somebody who's got a conscience. Obviously, if you're a psychopath, it doesn't really bother you, does it?
Right. Yes, exactly. I'm trying not to be too much of a psychopath, as you can see. But and that kind of is also an aspect which I liked about the bootstrapping strategy. So that was the whole bootstrapping financial. That was one challenge, and the other challenge was certainly to find the right people. I mean, at the end of the day, if any company is successful, it comes down to how good the people are. And that's what I've came to realize, that my job as the founder is actually just to find the best people. It's not to code anything myself.
And it's not easy, is it?
It's very tough. But over the years, you get better ideas of how to find good people. And with good people, I don't just mean technically good people, but also people who culturally fit into the company. And especially at the beginning, I especially made a lot of mistakes in this respect.
So, but I think before we go for our break, what's a couple of things that really, what are a couple red flags when you're initially looking at a possible freelancer, a partner, somebody that it's going to be part of your team? What are some things that really put you off an individual, or if you don't, or encourage you to hire them?
Right. So one of the first things I always look for is good communication. You can feel it instantly. It's just, after you don't even have to speak to them. After like exchanging 3 or 2 messages via text, you already get a good idea of how responsive they are, of how good their English is. And also, of course, what their attitude is. That's also a crucial factor. I mean, we had people who were like technically not on the same standard as some other candidates, but you felt instantly, okay, these are people you want to invest in. They are open, they are humble, they want to learn, they are polite, and those people will also stick around for a long time if you treat, the atmosphere is good. And those are always the people now I have a strong preference for. I don't mind if they're not technically not on the level like other candidates.
Well, I think a red flag, and it can affect all price levels. I've hired really quite expensive freelancers for quasi detailed projects, and the red flag is what I call ghosting. They communicate and then they ghost you, and when they start ghosting you, I chop them pretty quick because it's never going to work out. And it doesn't matter how much you try and communicate with them that it's unacceptable. They always keep on ghosting you.
That's right. I mean, that's at the beginning, especially, I always had the hopes that they will change, and, I was thinking, okay, once or twice, but now, come on, next time now we talked about it and he or she guarantees that it's going to change.
Well, again, it doesn't change. Based on my experience, it's all right for like a week, 2 weeks until they get, because they get another better offer, and then they bung what the work you're doing down on the list, and they start ghosting you again because that's how they're operating. So they're not going to change their ways. So I think we're going to go for our break. We'll be back. I'm really enjoying this interview with Nick, and we'll be back in a few moments, folks.
Hey, it's Spence from LaunchFlows.com. If you've been looking for a fast and easy way to create powerful sales funnels on WordPress, then look no further than LaunchFlows. In just minutes, you can easily create instant registration, upsells, downsells, order bumps, one-click checkouts, one-time offers, custom thank you pages, and best of all, no coding is required. For as little as $50 per year, you can own and control your entire sales funnel machine with LaunchFlows. Get your copy today.
We're coming back. Like I say, I do a weekly newsletter. It normally goes out Sunday or Monday morning. It's got all the latest WordPress and tech stories. I also do a detailed editorial. As I was going to say dictatorial there. Editorial. Can hardly talk, folks. Why you listen to this podcast, I don't know. But more of you are. That's amazing. We're getting more and more listeners. But do sign up for it. Where do you go? Basically, you go to the WP-Tonic /recommendations, and you can find that you can then sign up for the weekly newsletter. I have all links to recommendations, special offers. It's a great and not a boring WP WordPress general newsletter. I try and jazz it up a bit. So please sign up for that. So on to our next question, Nick. So based on your experience, if somebody came to you and say, Nick, I'm really thinking of developing my first commercial plugin, putting it into the WordPress directory and the WordPress marketplace in general, are there one or two things that you've learned based on your own experience and road that you could really point out to them that would really help them?
Right. So, I mean, our experience with the freemium model is a very good one, where we basically offer a lot of features for free. We use the WordPress repository as an opportunity to be found very quickly, because almost everybody, if they're looking for a plugin, they first look for free plugins, and that is in the WordPress repository. And that can give you eyeballs pretty quickly. It's not that easy sometimes for very new plugins, but it's still, if you think about the number of people who look at it, there's still, if you provide a quality product, then I think you'll always have a chance. I mean, the beauty about WordPress is that it's so huge. I mean, it's powering now, I think, 43% of websites or something like that. And you have, I remember when our first plugin, the social media plugin, when we started with it, there were already tons of social media plugins out there. And there were even plugins. One was called Yet Another Social Media Plugin. That was the name of the plugin. So there were like tons out there. But if you really create a good plugin, maybe with a slightly different angle to what the other plugins did, of course, ease of use is key, then you still have a chance. And so don't be afraid of tackling the big topics, which is, creating backups. Our backup plugin is also, I don't know, number 20 who entered the race. But, if the quality is there, I strongly believe that you do have a chance. And regarding
I've tried them all because when I was an active developer, I tried them all, and I won't go into all my lessons learned about plugins. I found them all had strengths and very strong weaknesses. So I learned the hard way to have multiple backup vectors. One thing that occurred to me, because I always feel that I'm not having a go at your selection here, but one of the things that occurred to me, and we chatted about this when we I first approached you to come on the podcast, is you got a very diverse selection of different plugins here in different niches of the WordPress ecosystem. Is this been intentional? Did you intentionally decide to do this, that you were going to have a very diverse group of plugins, or is this just how it's just naturally ended up?
Yeah, I think it's the latter. I mean, it also depends a bit on our other products. So basically, we're trying also to create synergies between those products. So maybe on the face of it, they look like very different, but there is a connection also. So one of our main services is not a plugin. It's a news website, a news distribution platform called Follow It. And we, for example, launched a plugin in order to get more users for that platform. And for that platform, we then also created the pop-up service, for which we then needed a plugin. So there is, at least regarding some of the plugins, there is a connection in the background, even though it's not that obvious to see. Having said that, some of them were also opportunistic, where we thought, okay, this is an interesting market, but we don't believe in the current solutions out there. So there's an opportunity. And because we had some plugin knowledge, we just decided to create a solution for it.
So you've mentioned about quality still being really important, and like any product, for you to have any traction, or it's got to be competitive. But are there any other things that you would like to point out that you've learned that starts getting you traction in the WordPress plugin ecosystem that you think people don't understand that are important?
To think about it, I mean, the WordPress repository was always number one for us, and then getting the free users and then upgrading to premium. I mean, we tried a lot of other things. We tried, blog posts, and we tried collaborations and partnerships. But we tried affiliate marketing. But those actually never moved the dial. Mm-hmm. I mean, so simply put, our path to success was always have a great free version, which gets seen in the WordPress repository, and then it spreads via word of mouth, we assume. So the quality is just everything. Quality is the best way of making it spread.
So you said about your backup, but it is tricky when you've got a premier model, because you've been very honest. You said that not enough people with your backup and migration plugin are signing up for the Premier. They're just satisfied with the free version. What are some of the lessons you've learned? Is that the real tricky bit as well?
Yes, but the final word isn't out regarding that, because this is just now a certain point in time. I mean, the advantage, we have now a lot of momentum in terms of growth, the free plugin, and that also, of course, increases our premium sales. And in the long term, I think it's still a good strategy, but you just need to have long, stamina to wait all those years until it pays off. So it's not, for short-term monetization, it's not a good plan. But in the long term, I think it's valid.
Yeah, but yes, but but I think one of the strengths is, I think there's over 60,000 plugins now in the directory. And I think it's the thing that grew WordPress. Themes and plugins have been the driver to WordPress, plus a solid core. But it is very much the Wild West. You really don't know what you're installing. Do you think there needs to be some kind of arrangement where if you're got a Premier plugin, that you could go somewhere and it could be quickly checked over and you get a blue tick saying that this plugin matches some kind of predetermined quality standards?
Yes, it's a good point. There is discussion going on about this, and also just to create like in the App Store where people can, upgrade quickly to the premium versions of the plugins, which would be sweet from our perspective as plugin creators, because it would make it very easy. Now it's all a bit, decentral, very diverse, but that can also be an advantage. So it's hard to say. I mean, I would like, anything that helps us making sales is good. So if there's like some vetting and some, a stamp of quality,
it's just about, it won't say, it will just, the way I saw it, is because they do that. It's always been strange to me, Nick, because they've always done more checking, more hurdles around themes. I've never put in a theme, but I understand the checks and the standards and the process can be quite painful, where with the plugin, it's always seemed very much more looser. I never really fully understood that, or do you think I'm not correct in that statement, Nick?
Right, yeah, I don't know the theme business at all. We thought about submitting a theme at some point, but we never did. I mean, with the plugins, the question is, yes, it's diverse. Yes, there are sometimes questions of quality, but doesn't get that. I mean, you're talking about the free versions now. Doesn't that get fixed by just the feedback system and people using the plugin? And so you can see how many sites use it and the ratings and so on. I mean, it's maybe not fully
I think it really depends on the person that's doing the reviewing. I think your general user, or small non-profit or small business, even up to a medium, I classify a medium anything between 25 to 500 employees. You'd be amazed at the people that know nothing about it. They just do a search, they see something that seems to fit, and it gets installed directly on their production site. And when it takes the site down or it causes the site to be hacked, well, bloody WordPress, it's useless. I'm going off to Squarespace, or I'm going over to Kajabi. This is the problem with the system at the present moment, I feel.
That is true. Although we've noticed that when we had like vulnerabilities in our plugins, and some ethical or not so ethical hackers identified those, then WordPress was very quick to react and just take the plugin off the directory immediately. And I'm not sure who would then be doing the quality checking, because they do a similar system with the themes, to my understanding. They do check over the coding standards of the theme. So, but I might be wrong, Nick, but that is my understanding. Yes, they do, but there will never be. I think the guarantee that they catch every possible vulnerability, because it's so complex, I guess. No. So, Yeah. Well, we're going to wrap up the podcast part of the show. Nick's agreed to stay on. You'll be able to watch the whole show on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel. So, Nick, what's the best way to find more about you, your company, and the plugins that you produce? All right. I think the best thing is just to head over to Inisev.com. That's the company which has all the plugins listed. And also you can just go to Taste WP and spin up a site which already has most of our plugins pre-installed. Oh. So you can just go ahead and try them out that way. That's great, Nick. And thanks for being so generous with your time and being so frank and honest with your answers to my delving questions. Nick's agreed, like I say, Nick's agreed to stay on for the bonus content. Like I say, you can see that on the WP-Tonic YouTube channel. And please subscribe to the channel. It really does support the show. And I've got a new show I'm doing, which is the Membership Machine show. It's all about membership websites, automation. It's a great show, going to be turning that into a podcast next month. Please join that. That's on Friday. You can join that live every Friday at 10 a.m. And we'll be back next week. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. We really do appreciate it. Why not visit the Mastermind Facebook group? And also, to keep up with the latest news, click wp-tonic.com/newsletter. We'll see you next time.